10, 9, 8, 7.
Pimps, Players, Hustlers, Fantasy Football League. Your boy, Lump the Dog, here once again. Give you Commissioner Message week number 3. So, man, last week was a pretty big week in our league. Everyone went over 100 points except for one team. That was Thiz Nuts. Only finished with 80. Got a big -6 from the Dolphins D. That's a hard score to take from your defense. If you ain't getting positive points from your D, it's almost impossible to win, especially with our quarterback scoring. Speaking of which, man, our quarterback scoring is ridiculous. You'll hear me talk about that all freaking year. It is dumb. I mean, we got people going into the fourth quarter with 7 fucking points, and then 2 drives later they got 32 because 2 60-yard touchdowns or 60-yard drive touchdowns. You know, they're getting at least 4 or 5 points off the drive for 40 or 50 yards passing, and then they get the touchdown, so that's 11. 2 drives, you get 22 points, and all of a sudden you're up at 30, and it's ridiculous. I hate the quarterback scoring. We got to change it back. I think that 1 point every 15 yards was the sweet spot. Still, we would give a little bit of emphasis to the quarterback, you know, and then the rest of the players, because, you know, it is a quarterback league. So I think that 1 for every 15 is we got to get that back next year, because I've just seen too many scores that are just in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden it's just all they do is throw 2 touchdown drives together, and then they're up in the 30-point, 40-point range, and they've had a shitty game all game, but for 2 drives in the fourth quarter. So I don't think we should be rewarding quarterbacks like that, but we'll see how everyone votes. I think I've heard enough rumblings there to get that changed next week. Last night waivers had run. God, man, I got to give props to our league, because our waivers there's like hardly anyone out there. I see on these fantasy shows, like, you know, hey, go get Marvin Jones, go get Carlos Williams, or, you know, the running back from Buffalo, or I forget his first name, and you know, these other guys, you know, the Derek Carr, go get all these fucking guys are taken in our league already. It's like these guys were drafted. I can't believe it. Or picked up after the first week. I mean, there's just nothing out there. It's pretty scarce on the free agent market. I guess the best guy that was on there was that Thomas Rawls guy, and who knew, right? I mean, no one was talking about him, or nobody knew. Everyone thought it was Fred Jackson. So, I mean, I can understand him being there. We did have a major injury. Our team, the Haters in our league, who did have Big Ben, and it looks like he's going to be missing 4 to 6 weeks. Could be 8. I don't know. I'm been hearing some rumblings, some reports that it could be closer to 8 weeks after he gets back on the field. But I bet you he'll get back on. But the Haters took that league, and this guy, he just wants to fill his roster with Brandon Weeden. Man, I offered him a trade for Eli. I got Eli on my bench, man. He has Victor Cruz. Why wouldn't he want to get that combo going for the 4 weeks, 6 weeks that he's going to be out with Big Ben? But, you know, some people, they want to be stubborn. I kind of understand. It's still early in the season. He thinks that Brandon Weeden can get him by, and he does have a pretty stacked team. But, you know, we'll see. Hopefully a couple losses, 2, 3, 4 in a row, and then he gets a little bit more desperate, and he's ready to start opening up the trading block there and get some guys up on it. Speaking of which, of stacked teams, I think right now it's pretty much about 4-team race. I feel personally, my team not being in there, I think my team's shit, and I'm 2-1, but I could easily be 0-3. I could so easily be 0-3 and just be in total panic mode. But 2-1, hey, sometimes it's luckier to be lucky, or better to be lucky than good. Foster should like that saying. He says I'm always good with the cliche saying, so that's another cliche saying. Better to be lucky than good. Anyway, so right now I think that the teams at the top, Big Loads definitely. I mean, his team is looking pretty nice. Especially he's the one he had LaShawn McCoy, and he picks up Williams already. It's not even on the free agent before his big game, so props to him. He's always been pretty good at picking out those gems out of there. I mean, I remember him drafting Julius Thomas, you know, a few years back when no one had heard of him, and he just blows up and became Julius Thomas. So props to the Big Loads. He's got himself a pretty stacked team with you know, as long as Derek Carr can keep it going, or Sam Bradford doesn't turn it around, as long as he's got that quarterback production, it's looking pretty pretty tough there. Next team, I think that's pretty stacked. And you guys might not agree or not, but they have yet to score under 120 points in the first 3 weeks. That's Papa's Brew. Man, they did a pretty good job. They're pretty, they're the ones with Marvin Jones on their bench already. They already have with James Jones, and they drafted him. They have Landry and Matthews. So, I mean, they have a pretty good receiving core. Little weak in the running back department with Chris Ivory and Frank Gore. But, Frank Gore's going to still have his good games. And as long as Chris Ivory stays healthy, he's good there. And then, of course, the Brady Gronk connection. So, he's probably a top team. Again, he's right up there. Second team, I definitely think is A-team. He's another top team. Having the Antonio Brown, Julio Jones combo. God, that makes me so mad. That should have been me. I should have had those two players as my first 2 picks. But no, I went and drank a little bit too much heme, and a couple weeks before I started falling into this C.J. Anderson talk, and I don't know. I was a believer in Kubiak and the Denver offense, and anyway, can't be crying over spilt milk. Another cliche saying, Foster. So, whatever. But yeah, stacked team. And then he's got Golden Tate, which he hasn't performed yet. So there's probably better games for him. Cam Newton to back up Stafford. Stafford hasn't performed. He puts in Cam Newton last week, gets him 51 points. So huge for him right there. And then his running backs are a little light, but Deion Lewis now with New England has given him a running back one, and he still has Blunt on the bench. I can't remember the other running back right now off the top of my head, but it's not that bad. And he's light at tight end, so that's where you might have to improve there. But definitely a top team. And then the third or fourth team that I thought was top was the Haters, but then he lost Ben Roethlisberger. But still, with Joseph Randle and Jamal Charles, pretty solid running back core. Calvin Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders, pretty. Then he has Vincent Jackson. He'll have his. I don't know. I think Vincent Jackson's a little washed up myself, but not bad for a third receiver. You could try to improve on that, but Calvin Johnson and Emmanuel Sanders is your number 1 and 2. That's not bad. That's pretty good. And then he's got Rudolph as his tight end. Not great, but there's places to improve. But still, he's been putting up the points, so got to give him props for the team that he drafted on that. Even though he used Beasley's app, he didn't come prepared, so he uses somebody else's app and drafts a good team. I mean, it's up to him to make the pick, but still, give some props to the Bees there. And then I know the rookies. What about me? I'm 3-0. I'm the front runner. How about I don't know, Rooks. I mean, I don't know how long you've been playing fantasy football. And I don't know, your team just comes off to me as the team that starts fast and fades late. You've had a good start. I think Keenan Allen's playing out his ass. I think that you've been able to survive with the 4-set thing. I mean, who saw Dante Freeman last week coming through? And then you got, again, there you go. Flacco was fucking not doing shit all game, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter comes alive, ends up with 40-something points on your fucking with you. So good pickup. I mean, you got a good Flacco game, but trust me, that guy will let you down. I just think your team, it could be, maybe with Aaron Foster coming back. I mean, that's one bright spot for you that could maybe hold it, but I don't see it. Your Browns defense only got you 3 points last week, so. Yeah, it's just a glass chin there. You're not high in that power rankings. I look at those power rankings, and when you get to the power rankings, you're just not there. So without being there, I just don't see it. See you really being a factor late in the season. But we'll see. We had a rookie win it last year, so maybe it's you this year. So speaking about the power rankings, the rookies are number 4. So not bad. He moved up this week because he put up a beastly score, so not bad, but, he's moved up. He was 6, so Haters falling down to the 5th in the power rankings. Papa's Brew, though, number 1 in the power rankings. I bet you no one would have guessed that. The A-team, big loads, rookies and Haters. So those are our top 5 in the power rankings. I pretty much think all 5 or the top 4 are, the 4 I mentioned, with rookies being the 5th. And again, I just don't see him coming through there at the end of the season. Just looks like he'll fade off. But I could be wrong, So anyway, let's go ahead and get into last week's matchups. All right, so here we go. Last week, we had the A-team taking out the Juggernauts 138 to 104. As you can see, I was just talking about the A-team's team. Cam Newton with 52, Deion Lewis with 12. Melvin Gordon was the other running back I couldn't remember, so he could do better on that. Julio Jones, I mean, just been a beast. Again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but God, that kills me. 29 points. Antonio Brown, 11. Let's see if he can survive, keep his value now with Vic. I'm sure they'll still feed him the ball, so the guy can get open on anybody, so I don't see that really being a problem, but you never know with the change of quarterback. And then 16 from the Giants D. The Juggernauts led on this team with Peyton Manning by 41. You know, it's really been weird that, you know, I got C.J. Anderson, so I know that the Denver offense just hasn't been, you know, lighting it up. It's their defense. It's been pretty spectacular. I mean, you don't see the Denver Broncos winning 41 or 36 to 20, or, you know, they're putting up only, you know, 20, 24 points and still winning the game. So, you know, props to their defense. And Peyton Manning definitely hasn't been Peyton Manning yet, but you know that 5-6 touchdown game's coming sooner or later. Lance Dunbar with 11, all done through the air, which was crazy. 10 catches, 100 yards. That's insane. That's, you know, so that's pretty much a receiver there. And then Demaryius Thomas with 12, Brandon Marshall with 14. Texans D has been a huge disappointment for the Juggernauts. I know he loves Matty Watt, but or J.J. Watt. He loves Matty Watt as well. Yeah, I don't know. That's so hard to keep going with them week after week when, you know, free agent defenses are getting double digits. You know, A-team picks up the Giants defense that week, plays them, gets 16. Juggernauts drafted the Texans D, 9 points, and they haven't really shown anything quite yet to show their startable D. But anyway. Next game, man, this was our big money winner, the Big Loads, dropping the big 180 on the Cock Merchants to only getting on 135. And this is crazy. So about our scoring, Cock Merchants had 50 points going into Monday night with only Aaron Rodgers and Jeremy Maclin going. As you can see, he got 85 points from 2 players to pull it to get a respectable score there. That's just insane. How are you going to be up 85, or, you know, you're up 85 or 100 points, and really right now, if you have a quarterback, they can actually get you all the way back, which is crazy because only a few quarterbacks are really able to do that. So anyway, Big Loads was led on his team by A.J. Green, came alive in the fourth quarter with 40 points, 43 from Carr, 26 from Fitzgerald, just the phoenix, the rising up out of the ashes, out of the dumps, and Larry Fitzgerald, just top 5 fantasy receiver. What great value there he got in the draft. Greg Olsen with 26. Le'Veon Bell, first game back, puts up 19. Again, I wonder how Big Ben's going to affect him. I don't think much because they're just going to lean on him more. So it looks like Le'Veon Bell is just going to have a larger load coming. But he's the big load, so he can take it. He's on the big load, so he can take a bigger load. And then the Patriots D with 10. Again, Cock Merchants led on his team here by Aaron Rodgers with 64 effing points. I can't believe that. You guys are nuts for wanting that kind of quarterback scoring in this league. That should be like a 50-point game. But anyway, Jeremy Maclin came alive in the fourth quarter. Just, again, he was headed for another 0 spot this week, or, 3 or 4. And just, man, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I guess it just takes garbage time and soft coverage for Jeremy Maclin to come up. This will be a big week to see if he can continue putting up those kind of numbers for the Cock Merchants. Roddy White, second week in a row with 0. Almost droppable at this point, but Roddy White's going to put up something sooner or later, so I guess keep rolling him out there if you can. Mike Evans with 11. Jimmy Graham with 14, his best game of the year. Jets D with 8. In the next game we had the rookies take out Trump's a Pimp 164 to 137. Again, look, if you look at the rookies team, as I was saying, it just seems like it's a glass chin team. He did lose Drew Brees, so granted on that if he comes back. But 38 from Freeman, I mean, come on, give me a break. Really, who saw that coming, right? Randall Cobb, 28, that's decent. 26 from Keenan Allen, ridiculous. I cannot wait for Antonio Gates to get back because one, I have him, and two is that Keenan Allen can come back down to earth. Travis Kelce with 10, that great vaunted Browns defense with 3, so bagak. Trump's a pimp, led on his team by Andy Dalton with 59, 25 from Peterson, 13 from Odell Beckham, and then 22 from the Bills D. Getting 0 from Eifert, I'm sure, was a big shocker. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that after seeing Eifert play for the first 2 weeks, he could put up 0 all year. I mean, unless it was an injury. But for him to play the entire game and end up with not a catch for 10 yards, wow, that's a little surprising. I wonder if Mr. Trump's a pimp is worrying about that investment that he made there, or if he thinks he'll just turn that around right away. I'm sure he thinks he's going to turn around, and I'm sure he will. I mean, Eifert's too good. And Robbie Gould was 0. Ouch. How do you get 0 from your kicker? That's difficult. But you take that hard 2-game in a row losing streak there, Trump's on, so he'll look to break out of that this week. Next game we had, this is that one, the haters taking out the Thiz Nuts, 124-80. See Big Ben went out when with only 16 points, 27 from Randall, which is crazy with that because he had 20 of those points within the first 5 minutes of the game or 7 minutes of the first quarter of the game, and then only end with 27. That was surprising. I thought he was definitely on pace for a 40-point day, but he slowed down there right after that first quarter. Jamal Charles with 25, so it gives him a good 1-2 punch. But, I mean, his receiving core didn't look anything special this week. I mean, I understand that it's big name Calvin Johnson, big name Emmanuel Sanders, but they've only gotten double-digit points once out of the first 3 weeks. So more times than not this year, they've gotten into single digits. Those guys are tradable, haters. You really need to open up the block on some of those guys, see what you can get, try to improve your quarterback situation, because Brandon Weeden is not the business. You ask Lukey and Fila about that one. Steven Gostkowski with 17 and the Steelers D with 19. In the next game, we had Papa's Brew take that 127-121 win over the unregistered sex offenders. Again, look at Papa's Brew's team, man. I think it's pretty solid. I mean, other than, like I said, Chris Ivory, if he can stay healthy. Tom Brady with 47, Gore with 20, James Jones from Green Bay with 20, 11 from Gronkowski, 13 from John Brown, and 11 from the Panthers D. URSO, Tyrod Taylor with 46, Mark Ingram with 15, just traded for Matt Jones, got the big goose egg, and then 25 from the Seahawks D. I'm sure he feels like he'll, that 10 points that he should have had from Jones going into the end zone really cost him that game, so that's a harsh way to lose. But not as harsh as the way the 289ers lost to Mr. Sweet Spot. That's right, got that 111-105 win. As I said, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. That's right. Anyway, Andrew Luck, that was the guy I was talking about. 7 points going into the fourth quarter, ends up with 34 with 2 touchdown drives. Not really much else to talk about. Steve Hushka with 16. Cardinals D with 36. Kaepernick was killing me, man. I really thought he was going to cost me the game. I thought they were going to go for like 45-50 defensively. I thought there was going to be 2 more pick sixes, but got past that. Got 40 from Palmer, which was another thing that was killing me with those touchdowns. I was happy to even get that out of him. I thought they were going to pull him middle of the third quarter because it wasn't even really a competitive game, but they kept him in. 21 from Latavius Murray. My shit show of a squad and receiving is ridiculous. I should have Des Bryant in there, and Moncrief is my second, and then Watkins is my third, but I had to do everything, switch everything up, and yeah, not too happy about that. But I did do a good job in picking a defense because I do have the number 1 scoring defense because the Broncos got me 26, which ended up giving me that 6-point win. Yay! 2-1, bruh. That's all I care about. Got to be in the mix. Stumble my way into the playoffs, get Dez back, and let's see what happens. And as long as Palmer stays healthy, right? Anyway, so that was last week's match. So this week I'm going to do a little bit something new. I just want to go ahead and take a look at the owner stats. Not sure if you guys have seen this, to see who are the real guys out there that are trying to, you know, go against the grain, not just doing everything by the book. So let's take a look at those stats. All right, so here we go. Here are the owner stats. Now these are the ones where you're told to start somebody, but you start someone different, you know, somebody that didn't have the highest projected points. So as you can see, Trump's a Pimp is number one. He's doing 50% there. Actually, no, it's Thiz Nuts. He's had 4 out of 5, at 800. But he has not as many points earned from making those decisions. So that's why he's second on the list. But Trump's a Pimp has earned the most points off those decisions with 52. Well, maybe Trump is such a great decision maker, and he's gotten 52 extra points off those calls. And then you go see there, Thiz Nuts with 33. The Big Loads only taking 3 total coaching risks. Only got 29, so 2 out of 3 is not bad. Juggernauts batting a success rate of 1,000, got 2 out of 2, but he's only earned 14 points off those correct decisions. Papa's Brew, 1-1 with 11. Haters, 1-1 with 2. The Rookies, of course, plays it by the book. Guy has no voice of his own, doesn't have any opinions of his own, just goes exactly by what the experts supposedly tell him to do. No coaching risk, no correct decisions, no extra points won or lost. Just total robot, fantasy robot, go by whatever blog he reads and tells him what to do. Same with the Cock Merchants, does everything by the book, doesn't roll the dice at all, doesn't want to try to make any type of decisions, just wants to go exactly in order by the book. Unregistered sex offender took 2 coaching risks, got 1 out of 2, didn't get any points from it. A-Team, 0 for 1 in his with a -2. Missed a sweet spot, 5 coaching risks. That's right, 5. That means I'm sitting there, I ain't going by the book. I'm going by what I feel, my gut. My gut's been wrong because it cost me 24 points for only getting 2 out of 5 right. Like, hey, I got this too, so that's what matters. And then 2 out of 3 for the 289ers, but those decisions actually has cost him 25 points. He should have went the opposite direction. So that's what the owner stats were. It's a little too early for the playoff race. You know, if the playoffs were today, it wasn't, you know, who cares? There's so much time left, who cares? And then again, we'll go through the power rankings, and those are the power rankings. Papa's Brew, number 1, with a 32.5 at leading the power rankings. A-Team second with 30.5. Big Loads coming in third with the 29. Rookies with the 27. Haters with the 24.5. Trump's a Pimp with 22. Mr. Sweet Spot 19. Hey, you know what? I finished 7th in the power rankings. That's not bad. I didn't notice that. I'm number 7. Okay. Cock Merchants, ouch, 16.5. And then it starts going down there. Unregistered sex offenders, 11-5. Thiz Nuts, 9-5. And of course, who wouldn't we expect to be down here at 11-12? The Juggernauts and the 289ers. 3, 2, 1. Bug out. All right, so that was the power rankings and the owner stats for this week. We'll revisit those. All right, so there you go. That was everything from last week. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit shorter than I have, and hopefully I didn't ramble too long, but I'm going to cut it off there and just say good luck to everyone in week 4, and catch y'all next week.
These chips to the day that I'm motherfucking die. Amazing, amazing, bitch, I'm amazing. See me up and down your hood when I'm riding by. Amazing, couple of the goons in the whip with techno line. Amazing, stack these chips to the day that I'm motherfucking die. Amazing, amazing, bitch, I'm amazing.